he said he was pro releasing the files. And we know Trump is not somebody that's a pure man. He's never run on that sort of platform. And Trump himself is anti-establishment, anti the elite. So this whole exposure of the Epstein files and the lengths that it goes to for the people involved in high power, people that were high up in Clinton's administration being involved, this plays into Trump's whole narrative of anti the establishment and trying to get to the rot of it all.
But Trump's in the files repeatedly.
And she's obviously made that speech regarding Trump's involvement. And I think this is where things do get interesting. But the fact remains, we also have to remain cognizant of what the media are doing and how the media are spinning the Epstein files.
If you knew what you were made of, then we would save the world.
The world is heading to a state where there will no longer be a fence to sit on. There will no longer be a middle ground. You're going to have to kind of choose a side. And in many ways, I think that's beneficial to a potential outcome, to the either eventual defeat of racism or the eventual state in which we've all been consumed by it and this world, hurtles towards its own destruction, which is also a possibility. But anyway, let's start watching this. This is on the LBC. Oh, they got LBC America now. I didn't even know that. LBC stands for London's Big Conversation. It used to stand for something else. It used to be, a lot of these channels come up, they kind of, it has its roots in more of a right-wing commentary and then shifted more towards the centre and now has some quite popular leftist talkers on it. And now they present themselves as neutral, and we kind of see that happening with another station called GBN, which is alt-right, far right, real low-brow racism, but now is trying to give itself a veneer of centrist in its policies, and is now being listed as a legitimate news network, which kind of goes to show you it's funny how all of these stations have their genesis point always seems to be alt-right extremism before they then move towards the centre, which is, anyway, that's an aside. Let's get into this.
Nora Lee Knotson is a Republican commentator and founder of Knotson Advisors. She joins us now in the studio. Nora, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Could you just explain? I mean, there are people, and I've spoken to quite a few this week, who've asked me exactly this question. These Epstein files are shaking our politics, and they're a big story in America, but it doesn't seem that there are so many people paying a political price.
Well, if we think about...
I'll just say quickly there that he's overstating how much effect they're having in the UK. The UK is not foreign or, a stranger to scandals. And they're also not a stranger to allowing the politicians who have committed the scandals. And when I say scandals, I really am understating here. The UK, prior to this whole Epstein thing, has had an entire massive scandal of MPs and PDF and people coming out speaking about that, people losing their jobs, people being fired, the media defending MPs, heads, chief police leaving their jobs for raiding certain MPs' houses. It's no stranger to it. In fact, I'd say the UK is the home to this kind of debauchery, and so we're no stranger to it. And we've had, Mandelson, who's got to come up. Obviously, he's always been involved in really extreme scandals, and he's still managed to get that position, and that is just symptomatic of what UK politics is like. So yeah, I think he's overstating it there, but anyway, let's carry on.
About the way Trump ran his campaign in 2024, and when he was asked about the Epstein files, he said he was pro releasing the files. And we know Trump is not somebody that's a pure man. He's never run on that sort of platform. And Trump himself is anti-establishment, anti the elite. So this whole exposure of the Epstein files and the lengths that it goes to for the people involved in high power, whether it's in banking, private equity, entertainment world, or within politics itself, people that were high up in Clinton's administration being involved, this plays into Trump's whole narrative of anti the establishment and trying to get to the rot of it all.
But Trump's in the files repeatedly.
And she's obviously made that speech regarding Trump's involvement. And I think this is where things do get interesting, because obviously, you know that I'm not pro-Trump. I can't stand the guy. You know, he's an open racist. That was literally my opening diatribe. But the fact remains, we also have to remain cognizant of what the media are doing and how the media are spinning the Epstein files. There is something surprising that I found out about Trump's mentioning on the Epstein files. But one of the things that I did know was, as much as people, the thing they like to quote is his name comes up more than anybody else's. And you hear this repeated over and over, particularly by the American Democrats and the left. But his name being mentioned is not the same as him being implicated in the acts. Okay, his name being mentioned could just be the fact that he is one of America's richest people. He's a business magnate. He's a bit of a celebrity. He's also incredibly well connected. I'm not running cover for Trump here, but I'm saying we have to be cognizant in what the nature of his name on the files is. Because to be honest with you, I'm concerned with people who are implicated. Okay. And I don't care if they're passively or directly implicated. I don't care if they're overtly or covertly implicated, but I look for strong implication. And I am getting the impression, as vile a human being as Trump is, that he's not as implicated on these files as other people, powerful white people. By the way, all white males, yeah? This is a white male list of debauchery, okay? I'm interested in the ones that they're not talking about, who have done vile things. That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, but let's be clear. There are separate issues here. There are people who had a relationship with Epstein, nothing that was criminal. And then there are people who were involved in passing sensitive information so he could trade off of it. And there were people involved in sexual misconduct.
But Trump's relationship with Epstein does rather imply that he's part of that establishment that he decries.
Actually, if you look at Trump's relationship,
See, and that's a reach. This is my issue with the UK media. This is my issue with the UK and this whole global Zionist-owned media. My issue with it is that they do stuff like this. It's like, oh well, he's mentioned this, so you know he's part of that establishment that he decries so much. It's like, well, no. Let's not divert from what's going on these files. We've got the RAP of innocent young children. We got the trafficking of young children and grown women. We have, like she said, the passing of insider trading information, which is a massive financial crime being carried out by Mandelson. And by the way, that's a very UK crime. A very UK crime. UK politics are the most corrupt politicians in the world. And they get away with it just by the nature of their reputation as being, oh, we're English, so we must be honest. It's like, no, these people are vile. So get to the crux of who's to blame for what. What did people actually do? And here, there is a surprising thing that she's going to mention here, which I think is very much worth noting if it happens to be true.
Ended in about 2004, and Epstein...
But he's part of that world.
That. You can't overlook that. Once again, not running cover for Trump, but Trump's relationship with Epstein ended in 2004. So if that's correct, and the truth is that the communications with Epstein ended in 2004, then why are we talking about Trump? Let's talk about other people on these files. Let's, first of all, throw Mandelson in prison and throw away the key. Let's grab Prince Andrew from whatever palace he's sitting in, that dirty, vile little rapist, and chuck him in a prison and throw away the key. And then let's implicate the royal family for running cover for that vile piece of shit and throw them in prison. And then let's go after all of these people, these powerful leftist politicians, these Clintons, who, after knowing Elon Musk, who was begging to go to the island, who was lying out loud. Respectfully, Trump will get his own, but I don't think these files are it. If remember, Epstein was convicted, I think, was it 2008? Correct me if I'm wrong. Epstein was convicted of being PDF in 2008. Anybody who was trying to be his boy and trying to come to his parties after that time knew what the guy was about. Trump is not a part of that. If his communication with him ended in 2004, I don't really want to hear about Trump, because this is not the thing to nail Trump on. And to respectfully, there's a loads of, I'm sure other things will come up, and it actually might even be difficult, because even that the thing they tried to nail him with, the whole Russian meddling with the US politics and via Trump, even that was a trumped up charge. So stop trying to get him on trumped up charges. As much as I can't stand the guy, I would rather target the people that are truly guilty on these files, and there's loads of them, because I'm sick of these people getting away with it. In the UK, we had a massive scandal with a television celebrity called Jimmy Savile, who essentially RAP'd loads of young girls who he was supposed to help as well. His whole shtick was that he'd go to these working class areas and find these people and do really nice things for them. And all the time behind the scene, he was just the most disgusting. But here's the thing. They only brought that all up, or brought his name into the dirt, when he passed away. When he was alive, he got away with everything. But here's the thing. He was supported by a network of executives at the BBC. Everybody knew what he was doing. All the people that worked with him knew what he was doing. A whole bunch of celebrities knew what he was doing. The television executives definitely knew what he was doing. A lot of them were participating. No one got convicted. No one was even investigated. Nothing happened. These people do things out in the open and nothing ever happens. And this is where I'm getting annoyed, because this is where I feel is going to happen with the Epstein files, where loads of these people are going to get away with it.
He is not part of the sexual misconduct. So there are a lot of people who are part
of the elite world of wealth and power. And
part of the elite world of wealth and power. Yeah, because he was a billionaire through being a businessman, and he was born into a rich family. That's not a crime, you stupid moron. You know what it is. And the irritating thing about this guy here is he would never decry people just being rich on a normal day, but he's doing what his masters are telling him to do. This guy's pissing me off.
No, but it's the rot that's within a lot of these institutions. And Trump's platform was tried to restore the public trust in institutions.
Although Trump is saying he wants to move on. He thinks everybody should move on from the Epstein files.
I don't think everybody's going to move on, because I think...
And that's crazy, by the way. Once again, told you, not running comfort Trump. Him saying we need to move on from the Epstein files is absolutely crazy. What we need to do is actually start taking them seriously. When is the state, the state, particularly in America, they love to pursue prosecutions against people for minor, piddly little things. Yeah, particularly if you're black. Oh, we're going to pursue this, we're going to pursue that. If your name's Jussie Smollett, you're going to get a whole police force against you. If your name's flipping Jonathan Majors, oh yeah, we're going to pursue that. We think he's guilty. You got thick amounts of evidence, photographic video of these celebrities doing the most vile things, and nothing. Crickets. It really sickens me, man. This is where you see in 3D the corruption of the world that we live in currently.
What's really crucial here is the public trust, and it's what are our principles and values, and when will there be justice for the victims? And if it took so long for this to come to light, I ask, how many other Epsteins are there out there controlling our politicians and people in high power?
Well, it's interesting though you mentioned the victims. I mean, when asked this week by CNN's Caitlin Collins what the president had to say to the survivors and victims of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific abuse, Donald Trump responded by asking her why she doesn't smile more and attacked her for her ratings. What do you think that says?
And I saw that clip, and yes, Trump was an idiot, being an idiot like he is, but why has he only got smoke for Trump? I get it. Trump is the guy we're trying to get rid of. Oh yeah, Trump's a racist, this, that, and the other. This is the thing. I get all of that. There was a time when I would sit here, in his first term and say, I don't think he's a racist. I blatantly said that. Hands up, I was incorrect. Even though I think he's being blackmailed, but that's an aside. I was incorrect. The dude clearly is that which people said he is in his first term. Cool. But why are we only talking about Trump? right now when we have dozens of people, dozens of celebrities, Elon Musk, dozens that need to disappear now. This needs to be the nail in the coffin. They need to be thrown in prison. The key needs to be thrown away. The normalization of, and this is the thing, you got all of these red pill influencers as well who think they're so edgy, this, that, and the other. I now strongly believe a lot of them are CIA plants. Nick Fuentes, Andrew Tate, I always thought Andrew Tate, but Nick Fuentes, Andrew Tate, Myron Gaines, I actually think a lot of them are CIA plants. And I believe that even more strong because of their support. This kind of like just before the files leaked and since the files have leaked, this kind of rise in support in the red pill community, the normalization of Epstein. Epstein's cool, man. Oh, Epstein's cool. He didn't do nothing wrong. This, that, and the other. Like, really, yeah, you're supposed to be the anti-establishment, break the matrix, and Epstein's cool. Yeah, Epstein's cool. Like PDF, being a PDF is cool. Is that what's happening now? So all you're seeing in the world is this overriding softening, this overriding numbing to a normalization of what is the worst crime, literally the worst human crime, is to take the innocence of a child. And you're seeing it just being normalized in every sphere, from the media to the politicians down to these influencers. They're all in cahoots to make this thing, this vile act, seem normal.
About the president's attitude to sexual violence?
I think that was a tactless response, but I think what you're seeing within America on both Republican side and Democratic side is people want answers. We know Trump's style is not
That's
palatable
not okay, though, is it?
For a lot of people, and I agree with you. It's a very tactless response.
I think she's a good spokesperson because she's being quite honest here.
I mean, it's not just tactless, is it? It's profoundly offensive. If you were listening to, if you were one of those victims watching that, you'd be looking at him and going, "My president," when asked explicitly what he...
Why do you care about the victims now, but you don't care about the victims enough to not talk about anybody but Trump? That's what I don't get. Why do you care about the victims now, but you don't care when these scandals come up with MPs? Yeah, I don't buy his sympathy here. Oh, it's really bad for the victims. No, you're only saying that because it's convenient, because there is this, this kind of cohesive agreement that Trump is bad amongst the left-wing media. Okay, cool. I get that. But I'm black. I see when people are being genuinely moral or when they're just being morally convenient. And if you cared, you'd be saying we need to go through these files and documents in a fine-tooth comb, which is, in fairness, what the woman is saying. She's saying all of the people who have been implicated in the crimes, implicated in insider trading, implicated in trafficking, implicated in wanting to participate in the RAP of these innocent women and children, they need to go to prison. And he's not saying that. I don't understand why he's not saying that.
He has to say, to me, started to talk about why a woman didn't smile more and why her ratings weren't better.
Well, clearly he didn't want to discuss that there. As we know in the U.S., a lot plays out in the press, and he actually approved the Transparency Act for all the files to be released.
If our Prime Minister did that, he'd be out that day because it would be so grossly offensive.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. Because Keir Starmer might be able to talk around the fence, but what about when they did a massive U-turn where one day they said this and the next day they said, well, we don't agree with transsexuals anymore. Like, and by the way, I'm not LGBTQ at all, but it'll just show that they have no integrity. They will U-turn and flip-flop all the time, and they will say offensive things. It all depends on if the media wants to highlight the offensive thing that you've said, not the actual offensive thing you've said. Because this is the same media that turned around and said Jeremy Corbyn, the least racist politician that has entered that den of snakes for the past, 3 decades. They ousted him on the basis that he was a racist because the Zionist-controlled media decided that's what they were going to make him be. So, respectfully, miss me with this kind of like righteous moral upstanding of the UK, because it doesn't exist.
And I understand that. But I think what's even more concerning is that our prime minister here, knowing that there was a relationship between Mandelson and Epstein after he was convicted of
That's more concerning. Wait, that's more concerning than Trump having a relationship over many years with Jeffrey Epstein.
Trump was not involved in any sexual misconduct that we know of with anybody.
Nor was Keir Starmer, nor was Peter Mandelson, as far as we know.
Did he just say nor was Peter Mandelson? We got videos of Peter Mandelson. Peter Mandelson has pre, post, and right up until he disappeared relationship with Epstein. There's photos and videos of him in pretty compromising situations, and his position passing information on to Epstein that would allow him, ambassador, so for the UK ambassador for the US or whatever he was, passing information across to his insiders for insider trading. He's the most implicated person possibly on these files right now. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Trump's connection, I'm once again running cover, but if she is correct and it ended in 2004, it's moot. Honestly, it's moot. You need to move on. This is what they do all the time. They try and distract us and put us on a witch hunt for the wrong people. There's so many people that need to be destroyed as a result of these files being released. And I just don't think that Trump is where our joint energy needs to be going right now.
Peter Mandelson was involved in defying the Secrecy Act in giving insider information. I used to work on the trading floor. I'd go straight to jail if I traded on inside information. That's a crime.
Well, we should be careful because at the moment...
No, I know. He's not accused.
Well, now we should be careful. When you were just accusing Trump a minute ago, you were like, well, he's implicated. And when he's like, well, Peter Mandelson is accused, with what she said, of insider trading, he should be going to prison if that's being proven. Oh, well, let's be careful about the accusations we throw around here, Be careful. Any non-Trump accusations, we need to run them through a filter. What a dick.
If anything, but if that happened, that raises huge concerns about not only the judgment of Keir Starmer, but other people around.
But you're saying it's worse that Keir Starmer appointed a guy who had a relationship with Epstein than it is for Donald Trump, who had a relationship with Epstein for years and years.
He appointed...
We can't seriously be saying that Keir Starmer is in the worst position than Donald Trump over this short...
Well, Keir Starmer is potentially in the worst position because Mandelson's rap sheet, he was already covered in substantial amount of controversy in terms of the way he conducted himself as an MP. There was no secret about Mandelson's track record, and he was hired in spite of that. And they would have known that he had a relationship with a post-convicted Epstein. That would have been known, and he was done anyway, just like they do with formerly Prince Andrew, or Andrew Mountbatten, or whatever the hell they call that weirdo little freak. Yeah, whatever they call him. Yeah, all of these people are just forgiven, and then they're given new positions and they're given second chances. So yes, Keir Starmer should be brought to judgment because of that. And yes, more so than Trump, if Trump's last communication was prior to his first conviction. End of discussion.
That's not what I'm saying. I think that's what you're saying. What I'm saying is I understand that the way the UK responds to scandal is very different from the way the US responds to scandal.
We do respond, do we? Do we? How many MPs went to prison as a result of that massive RAP scandal where they had eyewitnesses and named MPs? Did any of them go to prison? Did any of them lose their freedom? How many went to prison as a result of the Jimmy Savile scandal? None. So respectfully, miss me with your bullshit. Don't fall for any of that crap if you're not in the UK thinking, oh yeah, look at the UK, look how they're responding. Oh, they're so amazing. No, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. The UK does nothing when it comes to corruption. The UK does nothing when it comes to its PDF filled Houses of Parliament. Literally filled with them. They're the most filthy, vile people you can come across, and nothing is done about it.
Yeah, well, we do respond, but your party, the Republican Party, has decided to basically let Donald Trump get away with whatever he wants.
That's not true. If you've heard Marjorie Taylor Greene,
Well, she's gone. She's resigned.
Yeah, she's been pushing. There have been a lot of Republicans pushing for the transparency.
And he threatened her with a primary in response to it.
Yeah, but Trump actually signed the Transparency Act, and all the files are out there. And there's going to be.
He didn't want to. He was forced to.
Yeah, but it's out there. It's out there. And I think what matters more is our leaders and the principles and having justice for the victims, and then asking the question, actually, who is Epstein working for?
Do you think that
nobody's asking that question? And how many more Epsteins are there out there? And I think that's on a lot of people's minds.
Do you think Donald Trump cares about these victims?
I think Donald Trump does care. I think the way he expresses himself at times is unfortunate.
I don't think it's clear that Donald Trump cares. I don't think he gives one shit about any of the victims. I don't think he could care less. Donald Trump right now is in self-preservation mode. That's what he's in. He cares about, the only person he cares about is himself, and he'll do whatever he needs to do to preserve himself. That's one thing that is as clear as day. So yeah, you can miss me with that entire idea that he has any care for any of the victims on that list. He couldn't care less. Comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.